Immanuel Kant, the titan of modern philosophy, a fortress of logic, rigor, and system. So how is it possible that the central discovery of this fortress, the very thing that made it revolutionary, is built on a mistake so simple, so elementary, that it is, quite literally, comical? Today, we are at a philosophical crime scene, Kant's pride and Nietzsche's punchline. Let's open our texts to Aphorism 11. Nietzsche begins by setting the stage. He does not attack immediately. He builds the pedestal first, just to make the fall more dramatic. He shows us Kant, immensely proud of his work.
First and foremost, Kant was proud of his table of categories, and he said with this table in his hands, "This is the hardest thing that ever could have been undertaken on behalf of metaphysics."
The hardest thing ever. And Nietzsche, with surgical precision, isolates the hubris in that claim. He says, let us be clear about this could have been. He was proud, Nietzsche tells us, of discovering a new faculty in humans. This faculty, this power, is for making synthetic judgments a priori. In German, the word for such a faculty or power is Vermögen. This is not a light word. In the German tradition, Vermögen is a foundational power of the mind, something substantial, real. Kant believes he has found a new one. He has answered his own great question, how are synthetic judgments a priori possible? He has his answer, but Nietzsche looks at this grand discovery, this new Vermögen, and asks a question that changes everything. A question that pivots the entire history of modern philosophy from reverence to ridicule.
But is that really an answer, an explanation, or instead just a repetition of the question?
A repetition of the question. What does he mean? He means Kant's grand explanation is a tautology. It explains nothing. And to prove it, he does not offer a logical refutation. He tells a joke. He puts Kant on stage with a character from Molière's The Imaginary Invalid. The doctor in the play is asked a simple question. So, how does opium cause sleep? And the doctor replies,
by virtues of a faculty, namely the virtus dormitiva.
Because in it, there is a sleep-inducing power, whose nature is to lull the senses. Vermögen equals virtus dormitiva. Do you see? The joke is the argument. How can humans know things about the world without experience, asks Kant. By means of a Vermögen, a faculty for it. How does opium make you sleep, asks the student. By means of a virtus dormitiva, a sleep-inducing faculty. It is the exact same empty answer. Kant's great discovery is a 200-year-old punchline. Nietzsche says, such answers belong in the realm of comedy. And notice how he makes you see the argument on the page. He puts the punchline in italics. Virtus dormitiva. He is arguing with typography. He is making the visual focal point of the paragraph, the very tool of his demolition. This comedic unmasking explains the scene that follows, the honeymoon of German philosophy.
All the young theologians of the Tübingen seminary ran off into the bushes. They were all looking for faculties.
That dash turns a philosophical movement into a physical comedy. It is an absurd image. He is not just refuting them, he is laughing at them. He diagnoses their entire project, Schelling's intellectual intuition, their search for the supersensible, as a symptom of youthfulness, a failure to distinguish between discovering, finden, and inventing, erfinden. They thought they were finding truths. Nietzsche says they were inventing powers to satisfy a deep piety-craving need. But Nietzsche is never merely a destroyer. Demolition is always preparation. If Kant's question was the wrong one, a comedic one, then what is the right one? Here is the pivot. This is the lesson of the aphorism.
But answers like this belong in comedy, and the time has finally come to replace the Kantian question, how are synthetic judgments a priori possible, with another question, why is the belief in such judgments necessary?
This changes everything. We are no longer asking about truth. We are asking about need. We are asking about life. And Nietzsche gives his own terrifying, exhilarating answer. We believe in such judgments.
For the purpose of preserving beings of our type, which is why these judgments could of course still be false.
False. Our most fundamental beliefs about logic, cause and effect, the bedrock of reason, might be, and probably are, false. But we believe them because they are necessary. They are a foreground belief and piece of visual evidence belonging to the perspectival optics of life. With this, he has given us his positive doctrine. The value of a belief is not its truth, but its function in preserving and enhancing a particular form of life. And now, he can deliver the final diagnosis. He turns this lens back on the German philosophy as a whole. And look here, he puts the name in quotation marks. He asks if we understand its right to these quotation marks. He is revoking its license. He is questioning its very right to be called philosophy. Why? Because its function was not to seek truth, but to act as a continental-scale opiate. It had, he says, a certain virtus dormitiva. Its entire purpose was to sensus assoupire. So, we have witnessed a complete transformation. We started with the philosopher's question, how is truth possible? We saw Nietzsche demolish it with a joke, revealing it as a tautology. And we ended with the genealogist's question, why is the belief in this truth necessary for this type of life? This aphorism is a training manual. Nietzsche has just handed us the master key for reading everything that follows. He is about to turn this same diagnostic weapon away from the prejudices of philosophers and onto the prejudices of morality. He will ask the same question of good and evil, not what is good, but what form of life needed this valuation to survive. The challenge then extends beyond Kant, beyond his era, to us. What are our own virtues dormitive? What are the comforting truths we repeat to ourselves, not because they explain the world, but because they lull our senses and preserve our particular way of being? That is the work Nietzsche demands. As you read on, remember this takedown. Every time he analyzes a concept, ask yourself, is he refuting it, or is he diagnosing the need for it?